So, welcome everybody. I'm Fred Kuwornu, and I'm going to introduce BlaxploItalian, 100 Years of Blackness in the Italian Cinema. It's a documentary film that I started to realize and produce 2 years ago. And I wanted to realize this project because in the past in Italy I produced a documentary called 18 New Soli, that is a documentary about the issue that many young Italians born by migrants have in Italy. And it's an issue connected to the fact that they are not considered citizens, and the process to become citizen is very difficult. And after this experience, in which I manage also a social campaign to grant citizenship for these young people, I decided to go to a next level, that is the situation in which many people, not only the sons of migrants, but many people in Italian society have in this time, that is the representation in the media. So many people are actually living here, they are born here, they are made contribution here, they are paying taxes here, but they are not represented by the media industry and the film industry. And so BlaxploItalian basically started as a point to create a sort of mediatic citizenship struggle and social campaign. And the documentary has been really close to be finished some months ago. But when I was in America last January, there was the preparation of the Oscar ceremony in February. And in America, last February, started a strong viral social campaign with an hashtag called OscarSoWhite, in which many actors and many people who are in the film industry started to demand more diversity, especially for the Hollywood industry. And the same happened in January when a famous actor that we will have in the documentary, Idris Elba, is the actor who plays the series Luther, has been invited by the UK Parliament to give a speech about the issue of diversity in the media. And so I understood that BlaxploItalian could aspire not only a documentary film which will try to show what's happening in Italy, but is becoming a documentary that we will use as a tool to make a global conversation to speak about diversity and media. And we are launching an hashtag called Diversity Media Matters. And we started in the last weeks to do some screening tests of this documentary, because we will release officially the documentary in October, but we started to have some screening in some US university. 2 days ago I was in London and we did something in the College of London and the university and in the College of the Communication. And tonight we are here. And I hope that this documentary will try to open a conversation not only about the representation of African descent in the media, but a conversation about the representation of diversity, the representation or the opportunity that also women have to become directors of many films. And after the screening also I will give you some information and some data that are very important as a statistic about the representation in US, but not very far is the same things that are happening in France, in Italy, and in UK. And this documentary is also a way to tell something more about my life as Italian who is African descent and is half Ghanaian and half Emilian, because I was born in Bologna, but also my mother is from Tuscany, from Vinci, and so also this is a reason because I'm very happy to be here today. I also bought a finocchiona, that is a typical salami of Florence. We didn't have any official release of the film, and also tonight we will show something that is a little bit different from the final cut, because we really want to have the opportunity to attend the film festival here. And also there is a plan of release of this documentary in Italy that is very important. This is not a documentary for the film festival just to participate in the film festival. It's a documentary to engage, to do a social campaign. So Our project is to present the documentary in Rome at the Rome Fiction Fest, maybe in September, or at the Rome Film Festival. And contemporary the presentation of the film, we are creating an association of many people who are engaging in the art as directors, entertainers, writers, screenplayers, people with a diverse background. And during this presentation of the documentary in Rome, so we hope to have this opportunity to present at the Rome Fiction Fest, we will try also to create a European panel to launch this campaign that will be European, not only Italian. So Diversity in Media Matters will be also a European campaign in which we are trying to bring into the conversation the executive of the public channel television and the executive, like in Italy, of the people who are in charge for our Ministero of Beni Culturali, who give public money to fund the films, and also people from the European Union, because the European Union has a program called Media Web, and is a program that finances a lot of films in the European Union. And we want to create a conversation to find a way to create a sort of Magna Carta of the diversity into the production, highlighting which points are important and which points maybe can create a plus for several applications of many company production, that every year this application are sent to public government or the public television. So we are working with also people that in this moment are doing the same thing in UK with Channel 4 and BBC. And so I think that we will try to figure out how we can create a common platform to engage the institution to reach this goal, to have a much more diversity in the media. So there is all a strategy of communication of this documentary that will be just a tool to create and to engage audience about this situation. And so for this reason, we did some tests, some screening during the last two months. And in this moment, we changed something in the final cut, so there are other scenes that are not present in the cut that you will see tonight. And parallelly, we are working on several things as the subtitles, because we want to launch the documentary in different time here in Italy, in France, UK, US, and so from October we will start a long tour for 1.5 years, and also Brazil, because Brazil is another country in which there is a strong conversation about the presence, also the Afro-Brazilian actors and writers, screenplayers into the film industry. But I think that the problem is very large. So I was in Colorado some weeks ago. We did a screening, and there was a professor from Egypt, and she said to me, "Oh, here in Egypt is the same. We have dark-skinned Egyptian who are excluded by the representation of our film industry." And so I can imagine that this conversation is very important, and obviously we will not try to talk only about a conversation based on the color of the skin, because diversity is really much more. Even the situation and also the contest about tonight also is a contest. We are talking about Black Italy, so I think this is a perfect match also to have an opportunity tonight if you want to explore much more about the story and the contemporary Black Italy and the young Black Italians. And so I could say that this could be an interesting film also for this. This is my baby long introduction of ever. I hope to have a great rate for that. The question I couldn't even formulate was looking to take shape. It was an invisible presence. Whenever I would play, it was with me. Whenever I would open the door, it was with me. It was with me at school. It didn't have a voice. It was made more of absence than of presence. I found this book that tells the story of more than 500 African descent actors and entertainers in the Italian cinema.
Dice, noi sai, cercavamo un calabrese, magari anche con l'accento, dico vabbè no, lì non è un problema, io lo studio, no? Cioè, io lavoro, faccio accento con l'accento ispirato, tutto e faccio il calabrese, c'è problema. Dice no, ma segui, il problema sai che adesso ti sto vedendo, sembri più nordafricano tu, perché sì, c'è anche un po' questi ricci, forse in foto poteva, però vedendoti così dal vivo, vedo anche adesso un pochettino dalla telecamera che forse viene fuori, spicca di più questo tuo lato africano.
Appunto di andare a fare un provino da una casting mandato dalla regista, se cercano un attore per fare un medico. E lei mi dice, guarda, io ti conosco da tanti anni, tu sai che rapporto che c'è con te, ma io non posso farti questo provino, perché noi lavoriamo per stereotipi e tu sei uno stereotipo, ma non italiano. Che stereotipo so?
Cujo, in the evil language of my father, means born on Monday. And in fact, it is true. I was born on a Monday, but not in Ghana. I was born in Italy.
Thank you, Fred.
I hope did you enjoy.
I think it was really, shall I say? Yes. I think it was really very interesting and very rich.
Thought to be closed last year, but the events that happened with Idris Elba's speech in the UK Parliament and the initiative that they are doing with BBC and Channel 4 and UK government, and what happened also during the Oscar So White hashtag in February, needed to make a change in the documentary and to make also possible to create a global awareness and social campaign to demand more diversity in media. And you heard the speech of Idris Elba is powerful. It's a 25-minute speech, so if you have the opportunity to go online, you will really have a great conversation about what does it mean diversity in the media. It's a powerful speech. It's not about the color of the skin. It's not about black people. It's really much more. And during this a lot of screening that I did in many situations, also we started a lot of conversation. So, and for example, we understood that in many countries, like Italy, we are really far to have also, if we're talking about ethnic group and inclusion in the society. But at the same time, even in some countries, as UK and US, maybe they reach for some ethnic group, not all the ethnic group, and inclusion, they are really far to create an inclusion off screen, or in the case of US, now the huge group underrepresented are the Latinos, even they are the 60% of the population. But I understood that all these kind of groups, they have, in one sense, an opportunity to maybe reach the goal to be represented. But if we are focused on the people, for example, who are disabled, we don't have disabled actors, are really few. And this is very sad, not because we don't have a representation in the media, but because the people who are disabled and who are young, so I'm talking about young boys or young girls, they can't aspire to become actors because their family, they will be the first person and people who will say, no, you can't do that, you can't dream that. And maybe they can aspire to become president of US or a country, but not actor. So this is really sad if we are thinking about the role that media have in the society. And so for this reason, In Italy, we are trying, and we will try to bring this documentary also as a way to develop the presence of Black Italians in our film industry. But in Europe and in the rest of the part of the countries that we will travel in during the next year, we are really focused in trying to talk about much more diversity in media. And today also I bring some are boring, but I'm bringing also some data you have watched in the documentary. So only if we are watching the 100 top film in America, only 3 are directed by women. In 2013, only one leading role of more than 40 years up was played. So you know, and you have seen the data of Latinos. There are only the 0.5% of the representation of LGBT in the screen. We have no disabled actors and there are 1 disabled directors. And so the exclusion that are for ethnic group, age, sex, gender are really high in the industry. And we are living in a moment in which the world is becoming much more diverse, and also the consumer. And so in this moment also there is and I think that for this reason many situation will change, because also the private entertainment industry have to deal how they can sell much more their products, especially Hollywood or the UK production or the French production. So for this reason I think that they will start a change soon.
I would have so many questions for you, but of course I will just be silent because I think it's important to have questions from the audience.
Yeah.
How long have you been working on this film? And what was the time for all the interviews you conducted? What was the time frame? Have you been?
Yeah, this film, it's one of the most work of confusion that I did, because I really started to do a documentary that was much more informative, so with the interview only of professor and scholar and of course the actors. Actually, I wanted to start only with the actors, also because I worked as a DJ in my life. I worked also as a television writer, but before becoming a television writer, I was a host of a program, of a show in a television called La Sette. And for 2 years also I played some roles in some fiction. One was with Michele Placido. And I played the role of an African immigrant, so it's something that I really live with also with my experience. So for this reason I wanted to do a documentary about the actors. At the beginning it was also difficult because not all the actors wanted to be a part of this documentary. Some actors said to me, no, I'm working, I don't have any problem, and I don't think it could be a story to tell, a story like that.
Or, and these were all Black Italian actors?
Yeah, I'm talking about Black Italian. I can't give the name because it's not nice, but then I decided to say no. There is an important book written by Leonardo De Franceschi, that is a professor of the University of Roma Tre, and I say no, this book is very interesting. This book is giving a chronological history of the presence of African descent, and so I decided to match the 2 stories. The story of the professor and the story of the Afro-Italian actors. And then the documentary, this was a sort of first cut, was too boring for a general audience, because basically for the people who love cinema was interesting, or for the people who are talking about race, ethnicity was interesting, but not for only the general audience. So I decided to put also myself in the story, and this was another work that started after 1 year. So for this reason, it's a work that we are basically working since 2 years. So I define this work as the most confusionary work that I did.
And the 15th cut.
And the most NYU presence, because there are Ruth Benghia, Ed Guerrero, that is one of the most important professor of black cinema of the Tisch, and Vito Zagario, that is in the middle. So.
I was really, what I appreciated very much was the fact that you chose a selection of actors from all generations, and you know what they were saying about younger generations, second generation as we call it. So I think it would be interesting to have, the feedback of students, if you still have some energy, like younger people, how they, react to this, if you have any energy left, no pressure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi. So I don't have any energy left, but I do have a question, a couple actually. But the first is, at least in the States, we are starting to see Black actors perform in non-stereotypical roles. They may be 2 or 3, but at least we're starting to see it. Do you think you'd be able to say the same thing about Italian cinema and Italian TV right now?
Immediately, no. For 2 reasons. First of all, our film industry, as many other economic ventures in Italy, are managed by people have this kind of production because they has been given by their parents. So it's a family way to manage the industry, but it's not a meritocratic way. And so when you are doing that, obviously you are not open to give opportunity to new people. It doesn't matter if they are actors, writers, directors, or whatever. But at the same time, we are lucky because we are living in another era that is the internet era, and so there are a lot of web series and production who are independent, who are really low budget, and in this kind of production we have a lot of young talented people who are doing great things, and so I think that in the next 5 or 10 years we can have a change that will be natural. Obviously, we want to be a part in this change, pressing the executive of the studios or the executive of the people who are in the public television and the executive and the people who are in the government who give funds to this kind of entertainment industry. And we want to do at a European level, and if it's possible, the hashtag that we are launching, media in diversity in media matters, is a global, so we can also help the situation in US and in Brazil. The British are really working in 3 points that are really important, and one of the most important points is also to make a leverage and a pressure to the casting directors, to suggest them to, now in America, if you want to send a resume, sometimes they don't ask your age or your gender or where you are living. They simply ask if you have the skills for the work or the job that they're offering. So we want to create, not we, but in UK, they are trying to create a similar situation in which for the 75% of the roles in which is not requested, particularly face or whatever, everyone who has the right skill can try to make the audition. And the success of Idris Elba is a success of the casting director. It was for the role of Luther, it was not, surely they were not seeking for black actors, but was the vision of this casting director that after they auditioned a lot of talented actors, this casting director, that she's British, say, oh, I think that for this role, especially for the skills, the psychological skill of this detective, there is this actor that for me could be right. And then they make an audition to Idris Elba, and then he was officially became the major role of this series. And so I think that if we have many casting directors that will try to go in this direction, maybe this will be very helpful for changing something in these 5 or 10 years. Then many things will come automatically, because when you are born and when a generation is raising, watching production in which there are a diverse talent or everything is diverse, they automatically, if they will come to work into the film industry, they automatically will be diverse. So.
I had a question about the interviews. So the actors seem to be talking about a lot of different stuff, going from like their early experiences and like roles, and then like the frustrations they felt, and then their hopes. And I was wondering if you could kind of like take us through the steps of how you like went about, like how you contacted the actors who you chose, and how you like spoke to them, and like to get that story from them.
Yeah, there are some actors or actor who have. There is another thing I forget to say about this documentary that is also divided in three categories of African descent actors. So we have the African American. In my documentary, there is our brother that is still living in Rome. He is 85 years old. And you have to know that in our film industry, many African American came after World War II. But in my documentary also, I don't know if I can say the honor or not, but to have Fred Williamson, that was one of the most important actors of the Blaxploitation, and he came in the second wave of the 70s. This was a second wave in which our cinema have a lot of African American actors. Then we have the African actors who working in the 16 or in the 70s, and only right now, in the last 15 years, we start to have Afro-Italian actors. And so you can imagine that the actors who have a major role were not the Afro-Italian. The Afro-Italian are simply actors who are entering the scene right now. But at the same time, some of the Afro-Italian that I decided to interview, even they don't have major role in many films, I'm sure that they are the future of our film industry. And obviously the problem that they are living as a human being, as a professional, as a talents are the same problem that Latinos are living in US or other people are living in other film industry of other countries. So I decided simply to try to have the 50% of the cast of this documentary with people who did something that is maybe relevant, as Iris Peinado, the Dominican girl actress who did an important film with Roberto Benigni and Massimo Troisi that was really popular, this film. But at the same time, I decided also to give the opportunity to share their stories to actors who are less known as Letizia Cedric or Tetzeta Abrams, because they are young and really they wanted to be a part of this project, because the other difficulty was, I told you before, that not everybody wants to run this project at the beginning. Or sometimes it's also, you know, and I can understand, it's a very sick situation in which if you are working as an actor, maybe you are share or you are agree about the problems, but you don't want to compromise, or maybe you have a fear to compromise your career. For this reason, it was not very easy to have everyone aboard this project.
And it seems to me also that the younger generations, Afro-Italians, as you call them, are really the ones who get a little, or maybe they resist more to stereotypes. Tetzeta Abrams, is that her name? I saw her, the woman who was saying, you know, was in Rome saying, I do not accept these roles, really, I'm not interested. I say, no, I saw her playing a bookstore seller in a big fiction this winter. I was with my mother for a few weeks. She's 90. I saw all the Rai TV fictions, and she was there, you know, as an honor of a bookstore in Rome. So, you know, they're really resisting, they're choosing more than the previous generation. You were talking about Iris Peinado, the lady, you know. We say girl and boy because we're translating really from Italian into English, and for us, ragazza, girl, is from 9 to 99, same thing with boy, ragazzo, from 9 to 99. No. But, forever. You know, we do that all the time. But any more questions?
Hi, I was just wondering, Hollywood hasn't become racist overnight. There hasn't been a sudden outburst of hitherto unheard of sexism. There's a sense in which the world and the media that represents it has always been racist, sexist, homophobic. There's been class prejudice, prejudice against disabled people, and so on and so forth. Why is it that this has come to be an issue right now? Because this has been going on for a very long time, and I was just wondering what factors have come into play to mean that right now, at this point in time, people are talking about this and making this very valid point at this particular point in the history of cinema.
Because Hollywood or the major mainstream of film industry of many countries are like the infrastructure that every country has, the street, the highway, the interstate, or whatever. And until many years ago, many people or many groups of the society were excluded to drive into this highway or interstate. Now that we have a phenomenon, we have the immigration, the globalization, we have the empowerment of many groups. And so obviously it's much more easy that everybody wants to be in the street, everybody wants to run the interstate. And so for this reason, it's becoming a real contemporary matters. I don't know exactly the composition of Hollywood. The only things that I can say is that Hollywood right now, especially, I'm talking about the Oscar, not only the industry, but what's very interesting what Will Smith was saying. He was saying Hollywood the Oscar represent Hollywood and Hollywood industry represent America. So maybe until 30, 40 years ago, America maybe was a more homogeneous group of white male and whatever. Now, in the last 20 years, many things are changed. The presence of the Latinos, the presence and the fact that many things also, many activists empower also many things about the gender, about the race, about everything. And so, obviously, now it's much more clear that which we call small groups or minorities, if we put all together, are the majority of the society. And so for this reason, they want to change the mainstream. And sometimes many people, many individuals now are living much more dimension in the same time. So we don't have only that I'm only Latinos, I'm only African descent. I could be African descent, I can have a lot of dimension in the same time. And so for this reason, this kind of industry is not working anymore. And also this is an industry, Hollywood, that is working in a global way. And if you are trying to sell globally, if you want to have a market that is global, obviously it's much more complex. And so for this reason, it's very important. And so I think that the difference right now is the consciousness of many people, and for this reason they want to change the industry. And parallelly, they not only are fighting to change the industry, but also they are bringing new things. So, for example, the explosion of many television series. There are many series or many shows that are much more diverse than the film, for example, the film industry, because in this kind of entertainment right now, we have much more producer or creative producer who came from a diverse background, who are young, and so they are trying to put this new way to do art in the television series. And in the web series, it's much more.
I was just wondering, we often criticize film industry, but I saw in the film, and you were also mentioning some academic institutions. How are they dealing with this issue? Do they, because they teach and they coach new generation, do they offer some specific courses on this topic, or do they have some projects, programs? How is your experience since you've been traveling all around?
I'm seeing that there are some experience, for example, in which they are trying to develop courses that are connecting the storytelling with the digital experience. And in the storytelling and the digital experience, diversity, I think, play a major role. So I think that university, I don't know if university can create courses that are really specific in how can I say, in produce something that is connected to an entertainment that is more diverse. Because I think that simply if the university, like many universities, is doing efforts to have a diverse environment, it doesn't matter if they are teaching history or communication or philosophy, I think that this is very important. So this is the main thing that a university can do.
Because I'm coming from media industry and now I work in media research, so from this point of view I'm aware that in practice this doesn't work, like the diversity, inclusiveness doesn't work in practice. We are all aware of this, but it also doesn't work in academic institution. And sometimes I think that academic institution should be the first step in breaking this circle, which is a poison circle, actually. And if you said that, as you said, like we don't have representation of people with disabilities, this is the main issue because it starts from the family, because families don't let them out. I was working on one very interesting project with journalists in Portugal. And we worked with war veterans. And one of them, he doesn't have legs. And he said, like, you know, in summer I go on a beach and I swim. And I'm on a beach, so I don't use my prosthetics because it's summer and I'm hot. And he said, I was the only one on the beach. I cannot imagine that there are no other people with disability in Lisbon or in Portugal, but he was the only one. And the other thing was, one TV station did Vox Populi. So they were asking random people about something, I don't know, maybe about new road or something. And the girl just passed, the journalist just passed him. He didn't ask him anything because she didn't, I suppose she was afraid. She didn't know how to react, she didn't know how to approach him, she didn't know how to show him on a TV. So he approached her and he said, I'm also here, you can also ask me something. Maybe you can show my legs if you want, I'm not ashamed. I don't have them. I'm sorry I don't have them, but I don't have them. But this doesn't make me less human. Or I'm also interested in the development of this road or whatever was topic. So in this sense, I think that it's quite important to develop or to discuss those issues at a very early stage. So not within the industry, but a long time before. Like we should start discussing this very early, maybe in a primary school or especially in the universities.
This is another.
Yeah.
I was thinking that we're talking about academic university, not obviously talking about diversity things that you have to do when people are doing elementary school, not the university. And it's something that obviously we have to increase in the future because a lot of problems in the society often happen because people raised without having the opportunity to explore and empower their own identity. So because they have fear to empower their identity because the society gives you the boxes in which you have to stay. Obviously, when you are in the elementary school and they are teaching that you can do everything and you can be everyone you want to be, and you can live your life without having fear to show your life, you raise a strong identity. And so this is very important. But if we are talking about the professional who are working in the media, not all the professionals came from the university. So we can't obviously or create specific course at the university to increase a way to create a professional who maybe are much more focused on diversity. Or even I'm trying to develop, I will teach a course next in July in Bologna for 1 week. It's called Diversity Digital Filmmaking. I think it's much more a name as for marketing than also I'm trying to figure out what can I teach about that. But obviously we have also to teach, especially to those who will become not writers but producer, executive, as Idris Elba said in the speech, to have the courage and the risk to explore or to commission in work that are about diversity. This will be much more important than having a film with a diverse cast or having a director who came from a diverse background. Because much more we have diversity off screen and sometimes at the beginning of the process and not at the end of the process.
And education is
you.
important, right?
Well, thank you very much. This has been really a very interesting discussion. It was a pleasure to have you, as always.
No, for me it was a pleasure to come here and to come into this interesting also events. That is a series of events of Black Italy. And
that was last year, but yes.
Yeah.
This year it's all about racism, race, racism, and xenophobia. But I guess that this is all connected.
No, to put this story about Black Italy. And I hope to come when I will do my next web series that is Black Italiano, that is specifically about. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.